Welcome to Scary Stories with Matt. Today we have visited the subreddit of r/scary stories to read some of your scary stories. First here we have The Ghost Behind the Curtains. I was an innocent little girl who loved watching horror movies with their grandmother. I never believed in demons or spirits, but I always did believe that a good spirit still lingers. I was about 9 years old at the time, and I was helping my mother babysit my little sister Alexa while she cleaned the kitchen. Of course, I said yes and sat down on the couch on my iPad. While my sister was playing in the playroom, our house was really weird. We had windows in the living room that saw into another room, which was our playroom at the time. We had light brown curtains, so I could see my sister playing in there. She was jumping around laughing and giggling and dancing to Meghan Trainor. She was 4 at the time. I listened carefully as she played, just in case I needed to run in there and help her. She was fine, but the only thing I heard, which was really weird, was my sister talking to someone. My younger sister, was 1.5 at the time. She was taking a nap on the other side of the apartment. I put down my iPad and listened carefully, and word for word, this is what I heard. Yeah, my sister is in the living room. Why? Then a few minutes later, no, we can't do that. Then a few moments later, that what chilled me to the bone. I got up and went into the room, and my little sister was sitting on the floor with a doll across from her that I had never seen. Who you taking to? I asked, but the only answer I got was that she was taking to her friend, and that she looked at her baby doll. I shrugged it off and went back to the living room and went back on my iPad. A little while later, I got up to get a drink, and when I came back, my sister was running back and forth across from the windows. I laughed and watched, but on her third round she was running on the wall when I saw a tall black man behind the curtains with a weird-looking head and twig-like arms that was over her head with pointy fingers. I screamed on top of my lungs, "Alexa, get out of there." In that second, the thing quickly turned its head at me and then disappeared. My sister ran into the living room looking scared as ever and asking me over and over again, "What? What?" I stood still, shook, but then nothing. Just stay out of that room. She nodded, and I sat on the couch and gave her my iPad. Ever since that day, I haven't been in that room. I moved out of the house 2 years ago. The only thing that I wondered about was what was that thing doing to my sister. This next story I have for you guys is called Hungry by Das Zombie Cefes. It was posted 9 days ago on the Scary Stories subreddit. I've been living on the street for a while now. It all started when I was 18. My parents insisted I make a living on my own. And without so much as a goodbye, I was kicked out with nothing but the clothes on my back. 3 years later, and now I'm dumpster diving, good for nothing. Normally any other sane high school dropout would just off themselves, but I was different. Trust me, I've tried to give myself the old shooty bang bang in my skull, but I can't get myself to do it. Also, guns are expensive. Normally, you may say, why not just choke yourself or starve yourself? Well, first off, I'm going to die. I don't want it to be painful, and well, I've been scared of starving since I was little. One day my parents forgot me at school for over a 4-day weekend. I was locked in without food. I drank what was ever in the sink. This had a profound effect on me. Even now, I can't think of a worse way to die than starving. I would rather live 300 years in pain than die of starvation. You may be thinking, wow, your parents must be such dick bags. Well, you hit the nail on the head. They never paid attention to me. In fact, most of the time I might as well not have even been there. It was very obvious they weren't the type of folks who weren't meant to have kids. I was basically left to fend for myself for a good portion of my childhood. Well, now I'm literally fending for myself. Living on the streets sucks boot, for sure. But it's not like I can do much. I can get it by with enough food to be satisfied at least. The winter is the worst part. It's been coming up slowly for sure. It's only about 2 months until September. My cities get partially cold. We're up north, so I have to spend my meager savings on some blankets or, steal a jacket. It's easier than you think. Most of the time they don't even know I was there. Break into somebody's house and steal 2 blankets and a coat, as long as you don't break a window or something, or a lamp. It should be fine. Sometimes you break a window, I put a baseball down and make it like a mistake by some young kid. I can't say I'm proud of my life, but it's better than starving at least. Last week I had found myself a good apartment to go in and out. It's constant food in it. It's freaking filthy though. Still better than the streets. I woke up to a pretty good day. It wasn't raining for once. I walked outside of my tent and left the park. I'd set up camp in. It's right next to my raiding spot, so I've set myself up there. I strode up the stupid metal stairs and looked more like a motel than the small apartment complex that it was. It made it easy to get in at least. I stole one of the spare keys when I left 3 raids ago. So it's easy to get it. I pushed out the trash on the floor and waltzed my way into the living room, if you could even call it that. His kitchen was even more of a mess. Old food out everywhere. I was getting hungry though. I took a bite out of one of the old bananas and grabbed a popsicle. I sat down on his couch. A roach crawled onto my lap. I jumped a bit before slapping it off. This was freaking infested with these things. My ears perked up when I heard his door creak open slightly. I heard him struggling over the garbage bags. I ran across his living room looking for a place to hide. My eye rested upon a small closet. I ran inside, slamming the doors behind me. I heard his feet shuffle over. He stated that he forgot his uniform walking past the closet I was in. I held my breath. Why is my closet door open? I heard his first slam against the door and a click as it closed completely. Eventually he left. I breathed a sigh of relief and went to open the door. It didn't open. I pushed harder. It didn't open. Was it stuck? I searched around the closet for a light switch and brushed over one of the roaches, forcing my hand to recoil. I haven't gotten over my childhood fear of the damn things. Upon pressing the light switch, I noticed two things. First off, the room was filled with roaches just sitting there, and second, a trash bag in the corner of the room. It smelled freaking awful. I didn't want to know how old that trash was. I sat down, going on, "No roach shall touch me," duty as I waited for him to come back and open the door. I didn't even care if he saw me and called the cops or some shit. I wasn't gonna stay in here and starve. A terrifying thought overcame me. What if he never opens the door? I would starve in here, wouldn't I? Seconds turned into minutes, minutes turned to hours, turned to days. I could feel the hunger eating me away. My fingers hurt from hitting and scratching at the door so much. My eyes drifted toward the trash bag in the corner. After all this time, I didn't dare to open it. I touched it in the side of the bag. It rusted. There were probably roaches in there. But where there were roaches, there was food. The trash bag fell over, bursting, letting loose the foulest smell I'd ever experienced. Bloody meat fell out of the bag. I'm not entirely sure what sort of meat it was, but it was rotten. Roaches poured out of the rupture, scattering across the room. I retched over in pain, feeling the pit in my stomach grow larger. I could make out the bones in the mess. My mind became foggy. I couldn't stop myself. My hands dug into the meat and I began to shove large chunks into my mouth. I couldn't even taste it. My head hurt, my stomach hurt, my arms hurt, my mind was all foggy. All I could feel was hunger, hunger, hunger. My vision blurred. I couldn't think about anything other than food. I kept eating when there was nothing left. I ate roaches. I couldn't stop eating. I was so hungry. My black hair littered the floor. My skin tightened around my bones. I could hear my heart beating in my head. My mind only thought of eating. Where I find more food? I was so hungry, 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 hungry.